Hello there, good evening to you. Welcome to News Tonight live on GHOne television. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Coming up this evening. Government launches a nationwide public awareness campaign ahead of the planned ban on Styrofoam food containers, which takes effect on January 1, 2027, as part of efforts to protect the environment.
We can no longer overlook the problems or the challenges these packs, the styrofoams, and the products that they come with are giving us.
Also ahead this evening, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has received the final group of 32 Ghanaian evacuees from South Africa, completing this week's repatriation exercise as government assures them of continued support and successful reintegration.
Someone just said, baby, na osefo no few say, also, Namia, you wish you were baby, a papa. And see, Monkama Kuma and Tomoyin. Namin just said, or do you be a basum dream?
Also in this package, some rescued Nigerian girls have provided consistent testimonies pointing to a suspected cross-border baby harvesting and baby trafficking network operating between Ghana and Nigeria. We'll bring you more tonight on Insights.
Girls from Nigeria were brought to Ghana, forced to become pregnant, and helped to have the babies, and the babies are harvested for sale.
In business this evening, the minority in Parliament demands justification for urgent cocoa reforms, questioning both the substance of the bill and the decision to fast-track it under a certificate of urgency.
The second reason you gave with regards to laying it under certificate of agency, you have not given us any reason. And what is urgent about that bill? What is urgent about it?
On the foreign front this evening, South Sudan has secured its first ever UNESCO World Heritage Site designation, marking a historic milestone for the country. We have the details of these and many other stories making up the 60 Minutes broadcast. Please stay with me. Thank you very much for your company this evening on News Tonight. Once again, I am Tutuwaa Danso. We begin the bulletin with our biggest conversation this evening on Insights. On Insights this evening, a disturbing new allegation has emerged from Ghana's fight against human trafficking. Challenging Heights say some rescued Nigerian girls have given consistent accounts of a suspected cross-border baby harvesting and baby selling network operating between Ghana and Nigeria. It comes as Challenging Heights revealed that 144 trafficking victims have been rescued in the first half of 2026 alone. Here's a report filed by Peter Kwao Adato.
Behind every trafficking statistics is a human story. A child separated from a family. A young woman deceived by promises of work. And according to new account presented by Challenging Heights, women allegedly brought into Ghana are forced into pregnancy and held until they give birth. The organization says the babies are then allegedly sold. Challenging Heights has not independently verified the accounts, but it says several survivors have provided consistent accounts that raise serious concerns about a possible organized baby harvesting and baby selling network.
Girls from Nigeria were brought to Ghana, forced to become pregnant, and helped to have the babies, and the babies are harvested for sale.
A Nigerian teenager who had spent about 11 months in Ghana was rescued carrying a 2-week-old baby. According to Challenging Heights, she told the organization that the woman who held her had attempted to sell her child.
We are calling on the state agencies, especially the Ghana Police Service GHOne, to engage in a coordinated investigation in these allegations.
Challenging Heights says it supported the rescue of 144 victims in the first 6 months of 2026, working with the anti-human trafficking unit of the Ghana Police Service and other partners. 42 were children rescued from forced labor on Volta Lake, including 19 boys and 23 girls. Another 102 were Nigerian nationals, including 60 girls and 42 boys, aged between 13 and 29. Some children were forced into fishing on Volta Lake. Others were trapped in cyber-related criminal activities. The Nigerian girls were mostly into commercial sex exploitation, including in mining communities such as Obuasi and part of the Upper East region. These unsuspecting victims are often lured with promises of decent jobs in shops, restaurants, and supermarkets, only to be exploited after arriving in Ghana.
We want to caution the public that any one of us can become a victim of trafficking, and that we must report trafficking cases to the law enforcement agencies immediately we are threatened.
The organization is proposing a minimum allocation of 20 million cedis to strengthen prevention, investigation, and prosecution.
At this point, we want to commend the anti-human trafficking unit of the Ghana Police Service, who, despite their limited resources, have been consistent and committed in addressing human trafficking issues in this country. We also want to commend the Human Trafficking Secretariat of the Ministry of Gender for working tirelessly to address the human trafficking issue despite limited resources.
As the world marks World Day Against Trafficking in Persons on July 30, Challenging Heights says the question now is not whether trafficking exists. It is whether Ghana and Nigeria will act quickly enough to uncover the networks operating across their borders and protect those still at risk. Peter Kwao Adator's report for GHOne News.
Well, let's have a conversation on the back of this development because I've been joined now by the Executive Director of Partners in Community Development, PACODEB, George Achebra, for a conversation. Mr. Achebra, thank you very much for your time. Good evening to you. Hello, Mr. Achebra. We will, Mr. Achebra, kindly unmute for us so we can have a better conversation with you. We cannot hear you at all. We are trying to connect to George Achebra. He is the Executive Director of Partners in Community Development, PACODEB, for a conversation on the back of these disturbing developments. Mr. Achebra, I hope that you can hear me now so we have a better conversation. Good evening. Welcome to News Tonight.
Having me and to your listeners across the globe.
First of all, just how disturbing is this allegation that in the first half of 2024 alone, 144 young girls have been, rescued from trafficking syndicates?
Yeah.
Mr. Achebra, can you hear me?
Hello?
Do I need to repeat the question?
Yeah.
Okay. I was asking you just how disturbing is it that in the first half of 2026 alone, 144 young women have been rescued from alleged trafficking syndicates?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Trafficking and its kind of ugly heads is all over, and it has become a canker that we are fighting all over in this world. And I think Ghana is not exception from whatever we are seeing. And having looked at this kind of a painful and a disturbing news, I think we must have a walk through it and look at it from that ugly point for us to fight it completely.
Okay. But on the bit of baby harvesting, help us understand one thing. You are in that sector. And so for those who intend to baby harvest, what do they seek to achieve?
Yeah, that is why it looks so ugly. And it's also a disturbing thing. That is the human perception. It makes us to think differently. And relatively, it makes so bad for people to look at this level where we criminalize people harvesting babies, having a way of letting people take them at that youthful state. It tells that they have a different kind of mind, and their understanding towards it must be well investigated to let us see the level that we have gotten. Because all along, we are looking at child trafficking, and the underlying factor goes by exploitation, some by labor and abuse. But if we have gotten to this level where we are harvesting, then it means it is moving towards ritualists. And also they have a purpose towards it, which of course we need to look at it and carefully do much investigation to get this thing out of our system.
So what the primary goal of the baby harvesting is to engage in rituals? Is that what you want to say?
Yes, my understanding is to that, because if we are thinking very well, I don't see why people will be harvesting babies at these early stages. If it is even normal, then we go for adoption and other relative ones, those who wants children to take care of. But if they are looking at it from these early stages, then it brings about questioning, and we must look at it from all angles and understand we have all the institutions that are mainly mandated to work on, from YOCO to anti-human trafficking, Ghana police to immigration, what have you, even Department of Social Welfare and traditionalists, even opinion leaders within our sector must have a very a great mind for us to look at it holistically and see what we can do about it. Otherwise, we are depleting human development.
Okay, but from where you sit, really, what does this say about the nature of our borders in this country?
Yes, well, I stand for, I made my point, and this is relative. But I think in one way or the other, it looks a little, there's a gap. Because you look at some of our people coming from the northern part of the Africa, and some get the chance of entering our country. It also is a disturbing thing. So it looks so polarized, and they pierce a lot of holes. What we need is to tighten our borders and to let us look at it as a major decision for us in this country. Because when people are now coming in with this kind of ideas, what are we going to see our next generation? And Ghana as a country where we love the human life, then I think that what we need to do is that to fortify and then strengthen our institutions that are mandated in taking care of humanity.
Okay, Mr. Achibra, thank you very much for your time this evening on News Tonight. That was George Achibra. He's the Executive Director of Partners in Community Development, PACODEP. You're still watching News Tonight live on GHOne Television. As we wrap up Insights, the bulletin continues after this break. You're welcome back from the break. This is News Tonight live on GHOne television. I am Tutuwaa Danso. Let's go to the eastern region now, where a taxi driver in Koforidua has been fined 100 Ghana cedis by the New GHOne South Municipal Assembly after he was caught throwing rubbish from his moving vehicle onto the roadside. Well, the Assembly says the action forms part of intensified enforcement of sanitation bylaws aimed at keeping the municipality clean. Our Eastern Regional correspondent, GHOne, has more.
A routine drive along the Kenke Factory Road at Bakita in Koforidua turned costly for a taxi driver, Godfred Nate, after he was spotted throwing rubbish from his moving vehicle. The offense was witnessed by the New GHOne South Municipal Environmental Officer, Emmanuel Tete, who immediately stopped the vehicle and instructed the driver to retrieve the discarded waste. Despite searching the area, the driver was unable to locate the rubbish. He was then escorted to the Municipal Assembly office, where authorities sanctioned him for breaching the Assembly's environmental sanitation regulations. The driver was given two options: pay 100 cedis fine or undertake community service by weeding and collecting refuse in the area where the offense occurred.
Two options. Now, or you pay the fine.
He opted to pay the fine. Mr. Emmanuel Tete urged passengers to keep waste inside their vehicle and dispose of it properly in dustbins after their journey.
Plead with citizens that when you eat and you are in a vehicle, please drop off the waste in the car. We've educated or sensitized the drivers enough, including their unions, that the passengers must leave the waste in their vehicles. When they get to the various stations, they're supposed to gather the waste and dispose of properly. So
the environmental health officer also disclosed that sanitation task forces have been deployed across the municipality.
What our brother was saying when he was arrested, he said it's a bush. It's just who should clear the bush. So we are sending a strong signal that people living within Koforidua vicinities should desist from that. We have mounted some task force around. If you are caught, you either weed or clear the waste that you've put there, or you pay the fine that has been subscribed to the offense.
The New GHOne South Municipal Assembly says it will continue to strictly enforce its sanitation regulations to discourage indiscriminate littering and promote a cleaner, healthier environment for residents. For GHOne TV and Star FM, GHOne, Koforidua.
Okay.
In a related development, the Chief Executive Officer of Ghana's Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nanama Brown-Kluche, has described Styrofoam as a major environmental threat, warning that its continued use is worsening pollution and placing unsustainable burden on the country's waste management systems. She's urging Ghanaians, manufacturers and businesses to fully support government's planned ban on Styrofoam products, stressing that the move is essential to protecting public health, safeguarding water bodies and preserving the environment for future generations.
Ghana will enforce a nationwide ban on the importation, distribution, sale and use of Styrofoam effective January 1, 2027. Ahead of the implementation, the Environmental Protection Agency has intensified public education to raise awareness about the ban and encourage the adoption of environmentally friendly alternatives at the Central Business District. Speaking at the launch, Chief Executive of the EPA, Professor Nanama Brown-Kluche, acknowledged that Styrofoam food containers have become part of everyday life for many Ghanaians, but stressed that transitioning away from them is necessary despite the expected challenges.
Styrofoam has become part of our lives, so we understand the difficulty. It's not going to be easy, we understand, but this is the same time the convenience we have also come at a high environmental cost. We can no longer overlook the problems or the challenges these packs, the styrofoams and the products that they come with are giving us.
Professor Kluche warned that although Styrofoam products are widely used because of their convenience and low cost, They pose serious threats to the environment and public health. She said the accumulation of styrofoam waste contributes to clogged drains, flooding, pollution, and long-term ecological damage, making the ban an important step towards protecting the environment.
Ghana is at a critical stage in its environmental management and sustainable development journey. Plastics have become heavily embedded in our national economy, and they support also key sectors in the economy. Whilst plastics have provided convenience and also cost advantages to us, their use, especially in the single-use plastics, have resulted in heavy environmental consequences, including health challenges as well.
The EPA says it will continue engaging manufacturers, importers, traders, and the general public in the month leading up to the ban to ensure a smooth transition.
And as government prepares to ban styrofoam food containers from January 1, 2027, the policy is generating mixed reactions among traders and consumers at Mala markets. While some welcome the move to protect the environment, others fear it could hurt their businesses. Angela Koku visited Mala markets and brings us this report.
Government is intensifying public education ahead of the nationwide ban on styrofoam food containers, which takes effect on January 1, 2027. The policy aims to reduce plastic pollution and promotes the use of biodegradable packaging, but reactions at Mala markets remain mixed. Some traders have welcomed the initiative, describing it as a positive step towards protecting the environment. They believe businesses can gradually adapt to biodegradable alternatives. Others, however, fear the transition will increase packaging costs and affect their sales, arguing that affordable alternatives are not yet readily available. Consumers also shared mixed views. While some support the ban because of its environmental benefits, others worry it could result in higher food prices. And Asana Sela says the ban could significantly affect her business, insisting government should first provide practical and affordable alternatives before enforcing the policy. An edible oil seller also questioned the implementation of the ban, saying plastic containers remain essential for packaging and selling to consumers. The cold store trader echoed similar concerns, saying plastic packaging is still widely used for serving food and other products, making the transition difficult for many small businesses.
also yen double rubber man senior degree officer and same cause on young coffee rubber is all the woman take the coffee.
As the implementation date draws closer, traders are calling on government to ensure affordable, biodegradable alternatives are readily available. While many support efforts to protect the environment, they say the transition must also safeguard the livelihoods of small businesses. Angela Koku's report for GHOne News.
Away from that, the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, in collaboration with the Tema Metropolitan Assembly, has begun destroying large quantities of smoked, dried and salted fish at Tema Newtown following the discovery of unhygienic processing and storage conditions. While the exercise follows videos circulated on social media highlighting concerns over fish handling practices in the area, which led to a joint inspection by the FDA and the Assembly's Environmental Health Department. There are more details in this report.
Joint inspection uncovered serious food safety violations, prompting authorities to seize the affected fish product from processors and vendors. The FDA also engaged members of the Tema Newtown Fish Association, educating them on proper fish handling, processing, and storage practices. Public Relations Officer for the Tema Metropolitan Assembly, Frank Asante Ewuku, explains the exercise is part of efforts to enforce food safety regulations and protect consumers from contaminated fish products.
A lot of fish processing go on here, but currently it's going on in such an appalling environment. We are here to remove everything, and then later we'll sit with the stakeholders, which includes the Tema Traditional Council, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, the Food and Drugs Authority and others, to see how we can organize them well enough to be able to apply their business in a more hygienic and acceptable manner.
The Environmental Health Director of the Tema Metropolitan Assembly says the removal of the contaminated fish is necessary to safeguard public health. He adds that the Assembly will continue working with stakeholders to improve hygiene and food safety standards within the fishing community.
After collection, we will dispose it off in the skip truck or the skip container that is parked there. So the moment we are finished with the collection, we are transporting everything from the site to the landfill for proper disposal. Something the Assembly have been planning long to take an action. So this has just come as a push-up for the Assembly to do what we are supposed to do.
The destruction exercise is being conducted with support from the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Navy, Metro Guards, and other state agencies to ensure security and maintain order. The FDA and the Tema Metropolitan Assembly say surveillance and enforcement will be intensified to ensure only safe, hygienically processed fish products reach consumers.
You're still watching News Tonight live on GHOne television. Let's go to Parliament now, where the minority is raising concerns over a reported 2 billion Ghana cedis revenue shortfall in the 2026 mid-year budget review, accusing the government of failing to meet revenue targets and underutilizing approved budgetary allocations. The Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiawa Forson, last week presented the mid-year budget review, providing an update on government's fiscal performance and expenditure. According to the minority, the shortfall raises questions about government's revenue mobilization efforts, spending priorities, and its commitments to sole source contracts. However, the majority has rejected the claims, describing the allegations as baseless and insisting government's fiscal performance remains on track.
Talk about is the fact that yes, they have given money to the assemblies. But have you checked the Auditor General's reports that all the 3 billion, the minister increased allocations to the judicial assemblies to the tune of 3 billion. But have you checked the infractions? That has also escalated. So you don't just give the monies, but you also strengthen internal controls. Go and check, Mr. Speaker, the infractions increased from 18 million to 134 million in 2025.
Mr. Speaker, let's look at expenditure execution. It is also important to stop the politics that they are doing. In fact, in expenditure, Dr. Tutuwaa that they say he is not spending.
The best years under President Akufo-Addo, 2017, 2018, and 2019, they spent in excess of 40. The budget execution in terms of expenditure for 2017 was 94.5%, 2018 95.7%, and 2019 96.5%. Atuforce in 2025 spent 94.4%. On what grounds are you saying he's not spending?
Government is therefore proposing further reforms in 3 key areas: shortening procurement lead times, limiting the use of single-source procurement, and tightening restricted tendering. Mr. Speaker, that is good. But, Mr. Speaker, go to the Finance Minister's constituency. I'm going to demonstrate to this House 3 very key projects that he's gone against what he's reporting to this House. 1, the Mankasim Ajumaku Swedru Road is 111 kilometers. It's going to cost this country about $250 million. Single source procurement. Secondly, he is going to build a military barracks in Ajumaku at 200 million Ghana cedis. Number 3, he is going to build a specialist hospital. The Ajumaku military barracks is also a single source procurement procedure that was used.
Away from the legislature, let's talk about the judiciary now, because the Agbogbo Mafia of the Asogli State, Tutuwaa the 16th, has called for a review of judge appointments, highlighting the lack of an upper limit on Supreme Court justices as a loophole for political exploitation. According to him, as a country ought to support the judiciary stand independent and strong as well as impartial, but one of the ways in the manner justice of the Supreme Court are appointed. Tutuwaa was speaking as the chairman of the Supreme Court at the 150th anniversary Grand Deba on the theme, honoring the past, celebrating the present, and defining the future.
The Deba, marking the climax of the Supreme Court at 150 celebration, has taken place with various people coming from all walks of life, including outside the country. If you look at the kind of persons who made an appearance here, justices of the Superior Court, the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, and the High Court, retired justices of the Supreme Court, former chief justices, of course, chief justices from across the African continent, all of them made their way into the auditorium here to join the Ghana Judiciary to mark this all-important Supreme Court at 150 anniversary. And of course, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Professor Nana Opoku Ajiman, underscored the importance of rule of law and announced measures that the government has put in place to ensure that justice delivery is enhanced in the country.
The government believes that a confident democracy requires confident institutions. We therefore regard the strengthening of the justice sector as an essential investment in Ghana's democratic future and national development agenda. Recently, one important milestone has been completed, and that's the work of the Constitution Review Committee. After months of extensive consultations with citizens, institutions, and stakeholders across the country, the committee has submitted its report to His Excellency the President.
Tutuwaa Afedi the 14th, the Agbogbo Mafia of Asogli State, who was the chairman of this particular event, also used the opportunity to call for a ceiling of members of the Supreme Court, especially with respect to justices of the Supreme Court, to be specific.
We all have to support in making the judiciary, for the Supreme Court, independent and strong. One way to do it is to take a second look at the way we appoint our justices. From the beginning, they are made to be impartial. And also, the absence of an upper limit to a number, or the total number of Supreme Court judges, that allows adding and adding.
The Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafoboni, has announced that beginning the 2026-2027 legal year, which starts in October, new reforms would start, especially with the automation of the various courts across the country.
Exactly 150 years after the establishment of the former court system in this country, we cross a threshold. The judiciary formally ushers in a new era through the implementation of electronic filing, electronic authentication, and electronic service of court processes as the new norm for the administration of justice in Ghana, starting from 1st October this year.
There were goodwill messages from some of the partners across the globe.
This is not merely a celebration of an institution reaching a significant age. It is a celebration of constitutional endurance, judicial courage, democratic resilience, and the remarkable journey of one of Africa's most respected judicial institutions.
The jurisprudence of the Supreme Court of Ghana has made invaluable contributions to the development of constitutional democracy, judicial independence, and the common law tradition across the African continent and the wider Commonwealth.
From the auditorium at the UPSA here in Accra, Ritala Inusa, GHOne.
And here in the studios at Platinum Place Northridge, I am Tutuwaa Danso. Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has received the final group of 32 Ghanaian evacuees from South Africa, marking the successful completion of this week's repatriation exercise. Now, welcoming the returnees, the ministry's coordinating director, Harold Ajiman, assured them that Ghana remains their home and encouraged them to remain optimistic despite their ordeal. He said the government will continue to monitor their welfare and provide the necessary assistance, adding that a reintegration support package has been put in place to help them rebuild their lives.
The government will continue to monitor their welfare and provide the necessary assistance, adding that a reintegration support package has been put in place to help them rebuild their lives.
Transports, agency shares so relief supplies be a mama anya okofia obenya bibi a would betumi ahwe ho for a short while.
This is still news tonight. Let's do business now.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
In business this evening, the Minister for Finance has withdrawn the reintroduced the amended Cocoa Board Bill and the certificates of urgency despite strong objections from the minority in Parliament. Now, the proposed legislation seeks to establish a new financing model for the purchase and sale of cocoa beans while guaranteeing cocoa farmers at least 70% on the free on board or FOB price. It also aims to address operational bottlenecks within the Ghana Cocoa Board. However, the minority has rejected the move, questioning both the substance of the bill and the decision to fast-track it under a certificate of urgency. Deputy Minority Whip Habib Idris challenged the justification for the expedited process. Here are excerpts from Parliament.
To withdraw the Cocoa Board Bill that was laid sometime last week. And Mr. Speaker, as leader indicated, the committee has done extensive work on it. And so we will want to withdraw and lay the one that has incorporated a lot of views from our friends on the other side and everybody, so we can attend to it expeditiously. Another reason why we need to do this also is the fact that we need to lay it under certificate of urgency. And so once we get a leave, we can lay it and make the appropriate request.
The amendment so proposed in withdrawing the bill can be incorporated into the committee report. If it is the case that you are going to withdraw and relay because you seek to do under certificate of agency, say so for the records. But it cannot be the case. The second reason you gave with regards to laying it under certificate of agency, you have not given us any reason. And what is agent about that bill? What is agent about it?
Habib, on this occasion, you are out of order. It is only upon the introduction of the bill that the request for the bill to be considered under certificate of agency is made. But at the point of withdrawal of a bill, there cannot be any request for laying under certificate of agency. We are at the point of withdrawal. We are not at the point of laying. So, honourable members, the Cocoa Board bill, yes.
Mr. Speaker, the minister is not satisfying Order 159 and Order 160. And, Mr. Speaker, it cannot just be the case that he is laying it, we are referring it to the committee under certificate of agency. Mr. Speaker, it cannot be. He did not.
Honorable Habib, at this point, the bill is being withdrawn. What we are talking about has got to do with laying. That's why I'm saying you are out of order.
From that, the Center for Policy Scrutiny, a civil society organization, has criticized the government's decision to construct a 24-hour economy market across the country, describing the initiative as misguided. In its analysis for the 2026 Media Budget Review presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasia Forson, the centre argued that the government has made little progress in implementing its flagship 24-hour economy policy. According to the centre, building markets to sell imported goods falls short of the policy's objective, insisting the focus should instead be on establishing factories and industries capable of supporting a three-shift production system. Here is the Executive Director of the Centre, Dr. Edu Owusu-Sarkodie, addressing the media.
We see the building of 24-hour markets around the country. So you take a look at the manifesto, the document, and what is being done, different things. Different things. Why would one establish 24-hour markets to sell imported commodities? Because in your document, you want to grow and transform first before the shift system. Why do you go ahead of yourself to establish markets to sell what has not been produced, but to sell what has been imported? We also saw that in terms of funding, the Secretariat has consistently said that funding will be sourced from the private sector and that government will give them the seed money. In the 2026 budget, the seed money of 110 million was given to the Secretariat. We also know from the document that there was a promise of economic growth of about 6% of GDP and a job creation by the end of 2026 of 828,000, 1.76 million by 2028, and 5.3 million jobs by 2034. Our labor economist is here. I'm sure he'll throw more light on it. The job creation capacity of the whole country is about 660,000 a year. By 24-hour economy alone is promising 828,000 by 2026. And the jobs are nowhere to be found.
Now, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union says it has agreed to put on hold its proposed 30% transport fare increase following a meeting with the Ministry of Transport. According to the union, government has assured transport operators it is working to stabilize fuel prices. GPRTU says it will therefore wait until Friday when the next fuel price window takes effect. If fuel prices fail to reduce as expected, the union says it will return to the negotiation table and decide its next course of action.
Drivers are complaining, and it's very difficult for drivers to work and at the close of the day get something to be taken home because of this fuel hikes. Speaking to you now, the diesel is almost at 18 cedis per liter, and petrol is also almost 15 cedis per liter. And where it has gotten to, we all understood that anytime the fuel prices rises up to 10% threshold, then there is the possibility for us to also, come up with an increment. We also normally don't look at only petroleum products. We consider the other spare parts, lubricants, and taxes. All these things has gone up. So that is why, drivers are proposing, a 30% increment. That should the government, don't do anything about what we use a 30% increment for negotiation. So that is exactly what we propose on. We came up with a release, last week, and we gave the government up to last Saturday that they should try and do something about the reporting to get anything from them. Until today, we had a call from the ministries that tomorrow they are going to meet the leadership of the transport unions. We don't know what they are going to tell us, even if they had an arrangement of maybe, bringing the fuel price down. I think that would be a good news. The normal procedure that we normally go through before we come up with increments, we go through that same procedure, then we know what to do.
And that's it for the business brief this evening on News Tonight.
The business brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Your phone only has one
In sports this evening, the Black Queens of Ghana will kick off their 2026 Women African Cup of Nations campaign tomorrow with a group stage clash against Cabo Verde at the Onia Stadium in Morocco with a kickoff for 5 p.m. Now, in preparation for the tournament, the Black Queens played a series of international friendly matches, including an impressive 4-0 victory over Malawi as they fine-tuned their squad ahead of the continental showpiece. Head coach Kim Lars says the friendlies have been crucial in the team's preparation, adding that the players are fully focused and understand the significance of the tournament as they aim for a strong start.
That we are ready for the upcoming game now, of course. It's going to be a tough one. The first one
step in ensuring the squad is physically ready for the campaign ahead. Now, following the medical checks, the Phobians moved into full training where personnel from the Ghana Armed Forces put the players through intensive fitness drills aimed at improving strength, endurance and overall conditioning ahead of the Ghana Premier League season. The players completed the sessions with enthusiasm, showing high energy and positive spirit as Hearts of Oak continue their preparations for the new campaign. That's it for sports. Let's do GHOne now. Ghanaian dancer and content creator Endurance Grant has achieved another career milestone after featuring in the highly anticipated Hollywood fantasy film Grant's appearance in the film marks a significant step in her international career, underscoring the growing global recognition of African creative talent. As excitement builds ahead of the film's release, her achievements highlight the expanding influence of African performers in global cinemas and storytelling. Well, congratulations to her. Let's get some updates now from the foreign fronts. South Sudan has achieved a historic milestone after securing its first ever UNESCO World Heritage Site designation with the Boma Badingilo migratory landscape inscribed on the list of World Heritage in danger. The vast ecosystem spanning more than 37,000 square kilometers between the White Nile and the Ethiopian border supports one of the largest or world's largest annual wildlife migrations involving about 1 million antelopes, gazelles and other species. UNESCO says the site's inclusion on the endangered list reflects increasing threats from conflicts, climate change and human activity. South Sudan's tourism minister, Dene Jack Kagor, described the recognition as a major boost for the country's conservation effort in a testament to enrich natural heritage. And that's our news this evening on News Tonight. Thank you very much for your time. There's more news updates for you when you log on to starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso. So this bulletin was produced by Stella Boche. Have a wonderful evening.